another video in the series, How to Get Started in Music Production for Beginners. My name is Marlon. In the last video, I talked about software and the various recording softwares that's out there that you can use, DAW software, to actually start your production. In this video, I'll be looking at the hardware side of things, so the equipment that you need. Once again, if you do like these videos, please remember to hit the thumbs up button and also subscribe so you can get the new videos as they go up online. Thanks for watching, and let's go straight into the next video. So first of all, what I would like to say is that you do not actually need a bunch of expensive equipment to get yourself started in music production. You don't need a whole lot of equipment as well. In fact, you could actually produce a professional sounding track entirely on your computer, just using your mouse and keyboard as input devices. Remember that everything is being done inside the software, and you've got all your virtual instruments inside your DAW software, so it is perfectly doable. However, it's not necessarily always the ideal scenario to use your mouse and keyboard. From my perspective, it's easier to actually use some sort of external MIDI controller to be able to do so, and that's what we're going to look at now. So the first thing I want to look at is MIDI keyboards. A MIDI keyboard literally is a piano style keyboard that plugs into USB. I've actually got a small one here. This is one of my keyboards that I use. This one's pretty compact and portable. It's got 25 keys, black and white keys here, and you can easily play back a few chords and a few melodies and a bass line on this type of keyboard here. The good thing about this is that it's pretty portable, so I can stick it in a bag with my laptop, and wherever I am, if I'm traveling or anything like that, I can have it with me. It doesn't have too many bells and whistles, unlike some other models you can get, and I'll just talk about some other options that you can get on other models as well. So I've got on my screen here a larger type of keyboard. It has 88 keys in this case, and they're full-size keys, unlike the one that I just showed you, which are miniature keys. So with this, you have a few additional things on the keyboard itself. As you can see here, you've got some sliders or faders. You've got some knobs here that you can actually turn to control things within your software. So all these sliders and knobs and buttons can be assigned to various functions within your DAW software, hence making it easier to change things on the fly, and it makes things a little bit more tactile and fluid in the way that you work. You've also got a pitch bend and a mod wheel here, which can affect the way that you play back the sound. The basic keyboard allowing you to play back the notes and chords is pretty much sufficient for what your needs are as a beginner. If you've got the budget for something like this, you can go ahead and get a keyboard like this, but pretty much any standard MIDI keyboard, as long as the keys feel right, so if you can get a chance to try them out before you buy them, that would be ideal. You've also got drum pads, and drum pads are pretty much exactly the same as MIDI keyboards. They allow you to trigger the sounds by pressing on the pads there. The difference is that you've got just a few pads to play around with, and these are usually used with drums or samples, if you want to trigger samples or certain effects. I personally don't use drum pads because I find that my keyboard is able to do exactly the same things, and I prefer to use a keyboard anyway because that's the instrument I play. So aside from these input devices, the next thing you might want to look at is getting yourself a set of studio monitors. And studio monitors are basically speakers that are designed to give you a flat sound and give you a true reflection of what your recording is. That's super important when you're doing recordings or you're creating a track, because you want your mix to sound right across the board when you're playing it back on multiple devices. So you want to make sure that you don't have your levels too high in one frequency over another. The difference between these with studio monitors and regular speakers is that a regular speaker typically has things enhanced to give you a better listening experience. For example, you've got speakers that enhance the bass and they give you a boost on the bass line, and that could throw your mixes off if you're trying to mix a song on a regular hi-fi speaker that has a bass boost, because you're already hearing too much bass and you're thinking, oh, my bass is too high, and you turn it down in relation to the other instruments. And then when you export your final mix and you listen back to it on multiple devices, you find that your bass is lacking, for example, because you've already turned it down thinking that your bass is too loud, but it's already overcompensating by telling you by playing back the bass at a higher level than it should be. So that's just something to bear in mind. You want to make sure you get studio monitors that are designed for that sort of thing. You can also get some studio headphones. They do exactly the same thing. The difference is that they're obviously portable. You can mix on them. A lot of DJs or producers nowadays, when they're traveling, they mix their tracks using headphones on planes or in hotel rooms. So it's perfectly doable. It's not necessarily the ideal setup, but for a start, you can get some decent mixes on your headphones. I actually do quite a lot of my mixing on headphones and a lot of my production through headphones, because I don't always have the opportunity to play back my studio monitors quite loudly, because I don't want to disturb my neighbors or disturb other members of the household. The next thing you want to get is a audio interface. An audio interface is more or less a sound card that plugs in via USB in most cases, and it allows you to have professional connections into your computer from things like guitars or studio microphones. So in this example, this one has a double input. It has XLR connections, which again, they're for professional mics. Also, they have separate volume controls or gain controls that you can use to adjust your gain before you get to the computer. They also have direct monitoring for headphones. So what that is basically you can listen back to your recording or your performance whilst you are on a mic or playing back an instrument, a guitar for example. You can hear back in real time what you're playing without any delay. Typically, if you don't have that feature, you'd be hearing back the audio in the headphones coming from the software, and what that can have is latency, which is a delay, and that can throw you off in terms of your timing. So you want to look out for that feature when you're looking for an audio interface, if that's something that you'll be doing in terms of recording vocals or recording live instruments and things like that. But aside from that, there's one other feature that you need to look out for, and that is phantom power. Phantom power is a voltage that is needed for some microphones. So if you plug in a microphone that requires external power, which is phantom power, you will need to plug that mic into something that has that power to be able to have it work in order for you to then use it. So if the audio interface has 48 volts phantom power, that's something that is really, really useful, because you'll find that most studio mics, most condenser mics does require phantom power. We've looked at pretty much most of the things that we need apart from a microphone. Make sure that if you're looking to do vocals or record phrases or ad-libs and things like that, you can get a decent quality condenser microphone, which is again designed for studio environments. Along with that microphone, make sure you get yourself a pop filter, and a pop filter is just a piece of fabric that's in front of the mic between you and the microphone that stops your plosives, your P's and your B's from coming through and causing a popping sound in the microphone itself. Also, you might want to get yourself a shock mount along with a mic stand. The shock mount is basically something that you place the mic in before you stick it on a mic stand. That way, if you do touch the mic stand, it reduces the amount of noise that gets passed onto the microphone. It's not something that's absolutely essential. You can still record without it, but you just have to be extra careful not to touch the mic or touch whatever the mic is mounted on. Otherwise, you'll get the sound resonating back into the microphone. That's all that you would actually need to get started. On a side note, you might want to look into getting yourselves a couple of external hard drives, or at least one external hard drive to back up your projects onto, and not keep all your files on one computer just in case it crashes or something goes wrong and you delete a file. I personally save my projects within a cloud folder on my computer, so I use Google Drive at the moment. That helps me in terms of I can be confident that as soon as I save my project, it's going to be uploaded. As long as I've got internet connection, it's going to be uploaded and backed up to the cloud. The last thing you want to do is go through hours of work and then lose all your work because you haven't backed up. So I would recommend it to everyone to make sure you back up your work onto an external device. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'll be looking at the production process, so what you actually need to do to produce an entire track. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.